Hi, how are you? I'm so excited to be here today. And today I want to talk about our thinking and our thoughts. Have you ever said to your child, "What were you thinking, child?" And you kind of like, they're looking at you like, "Well, I don't know. I don't know." Maybe it's something that they did that you felt that wasn't correct or appropriate. What were you thinking? Or have you ever said that to yourself? What were you thinking when you said that? And you're like, "Oh, that probably wasn't a very nice thing that I said. I didn't mean it that way, but it sort of came out not very nice," right? So how many of you kind of mumble under your breath? Maybe something happens and you like, mumble about it and have your own opinion about something that's going on. And maybe you don't actually say those words, but you think them in your head, right? You replay a conversation over and over again because you're hoping that the outcome of that conversation will be different. Like, I really didn't actually say that comment, did I? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I made that comment. And it felt like, I was making it to make me feel better, but actually I was actually coming from a place of not enough. And I actually put down that person, and that really wasn't a very kind thing to say. I put them down to I could elevate myself. Yeah. So sometimes you have to kind of, when you ever have that conversation in your head and you're like, geez, that probably came off wrong. I don't think that came off the way I was thinking that it should be, right? Or what about on the days you're really super busy and you mix up the laundry detergent with the soap wash, the dishwasher detergent, and you're thinking, oh, instead of laughing at all, you say, that was such a dumb thing to do. How stupid of me. How come I cannot get this straight? And you really just start coming down on yourself when it's really not that big of a deal, right? So, hi, I'm Jean Harville, and I am the founder of this Helping Kids with Reading page, and also the founder of Raising Kids Who Love to Read. And yeah, what does this have to do with reading, right? You'll see. And then I'm also the creator of the Reading Confidence Academy. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our thoughts, because our thoughts are so important as to how we connect with ourselves and how we have that opinion and emotion about our thoughts. And that can also bring us down in the way that we feel about ourselves and give us those false limiting beliefs. That's kind of a big word, right? That gives us that falseness about who we are. And when we tell ourselves these comments or make these comments, and we have an emotion with that makes us sad or not feel good, and when we keep doing that over and over again, guess what? Your brain believes it. Your subconscious brain says, oh, so Jean is telling me that she is dumb, she is stupid. So that can play in your brain later on and on and on, in future, and trying to get yourself to challenge yourself. You're going to say, oh, I can't challenge myself because I'm dumb and stupid. So it really does matter what you're saying to yourself. And it does matter what our kids are saying to themselves, especially around reading or anything at all, because we want our kids to feel good about who they are, right? We always want that as parents. We want our kids to feel good. We want our kids to be motivated to do hard things, right? But if they're telling themselves that they're stupid and they're dumb, why can't I get this to work? Then that's going to create belief in their brains as well. So what happens is later on in life, when you're faced with something that's difficult, you're not going to want to do it because your brain's going, that's okay, we've got you, we protect you, so you don't have to do that because that, remember, you're stupid and dumb, right? So here are 3 points, the 3 ways to help to keep from sabotaging yourself, right? There's 3 key things. So we're going to talk about those 3 things for adults first, because we as parents need to experience and to kind of transform our own thinking before we can help somebody else. Because I think as teachers and as parents, when we have experiences in our life and we want to teach our kids, we've already been through that experience. We can understand what's going on. So that's why we want to teach our kids to protect them from having that same negative experience as well, right? So we want to take a look at ourselves first, and then we can flip it to our kids. So first, number 1, you want to capture that negative thought and also, that negative mean thing you're saying about yourself and the emotion that you're having when you are telling this to yourself. So jot it down on a piece of paper. put in a secret place and nobody can see it, because there's going to be some mean stuff on there. And you don't want anybody to see that, right? Because we're going to work on it later. For right now, so just jot it down. Notice that thought that you say to yourself. You're stupid. You're dumb. You can't measure up to anybody else in the group or in the room. You're not enough. Those are all comments that we make to ourselves, and we may not use those exact words, but when you boil it down, you boil it down to this raw emotion of what it really means. There are 3 basic things that we can tell ourselves, and that are like we need for survival. We need to feel safe, we need to feel loved, and we need to feel worthy. So if we're telling ourselves we're not good enough, there's worthy right there, right? And so you want to boil it down to, what is the underlying thing that am I thinking? Also, along when you write down that comment, write down how you were feeling when you said it, right? Were you feeling like happy, or were you feeling like sad? Were you feeling rejected? Were you feeling, what are some other negative emotions? Guilty, maybe feeling guilty, lost for words like I am right now. But write down the feeling that you had, the emotion that you were feeling when you said this to yourself, this negative thing about switching the detergent, and the laundry detergent and the dishwashing detergent. What were you feeling about that? Maybe there are other circumstances that were around it. But what happens that we know is that when you take a thought and that emotion and you think it more, over and over and over again, it becomes a belief. And that belief is when we have to rewire that belief that's in your brain, not by just using kind words or flipping the words. It's more to it than that. And I'm going to get into that next week, okay? Our next live, probably on Thursday, okay? Okay, number 3, jot down that negative thought in your secret journal. Compare the thoughts. Compare those thoughts that you have now collected. Compare those emotions. Are they the same? Are you actually telling yourself the same thing but maybe different words? Are they different? Or do you have some different beliefs that are going on? So what exactly? Just kind of compare them. Are you always harping on how you're not worthy, or you're not enough, or why would anybody want to speak to me, or why would someone want to listen to me, or whatever, So just kind of take note. See if you can kind of group like these comments that you are making to yourself, right? So whether you say them out loud, you're mumbling under your breath, or you're thinking them. And some of them are kind of hard to capture because you may be going along in this story. How many of you replay stories, that happened? Something that happened in the grocery store. Something that happened, that meant something to you, that was meaningful to you. Maybe it was an interaction with the relative, an interaction with your husband, or even with your kids, right? So I want you to just jot those down and just take note of them. Put them in a secret place so nobody has to read them, because you don't want that. But when you take them out of your head and you write them on paper, there's something about that. It really makes it more concrete. And instead of just thinking about it, it doesn't work. And so when you make those changes that we're going to talk about on Thursday, it's not going to work. And so you can't just say, I'm just going to think happy thoughts, and I'm just going to think, happy thoughts. I'm just going to switch the wording around. Well, that you have to actually take the thoughts and write them down on paper. There's something about, there's that multisensory thing. Your brain likes to see it. They like to see it, and they like to read it as well, okay? So your brain has to see what it is that you are wanting to work on. What is that thought that you want to get rid of, right? So do that for yourself. Then what I want you to do, after you've done that for about a week, collecting thoughts, I want you to take a look at your kids and just listen in. Listen to what you hear them say. Maybe they're playing a game, maybe they're on their Game Boy or whatever the games that they're playing now. Maybe they're on their electronics and they say, "Oh, that was stupid, dumb," and that they speak it out loud. What is it that they're telling themselves? What are those thoughts? Write down those thoughts. Or maybe it's a homework assignment and they're really struggling with it, and they maybe make a comment, under their breath about it, or even out loud, right? Just they don't have to see you doing that. Just write it down, Or if they do see you doing that, say, "I am being a word detective." And they'll say, "Okay, Mom, whatever," and then you can enlist, and if they're really interested, after you've collected some of their negative thoughts, and if they're really interested, like, what is it that you are writing down? Then you can actually open it up and talk to them and say, well, I was noticing that you called yourself dumb, like a dummy, right? I said, do you do that? Do you do that often? How does it feel when you call yourself dummy? I'm just curious, no biggie about it, just curious. And get your kids talking about it. Get your kids talking about some of the things that they may think about themselves, or when are they feeling like they need to make that comment? Is it during an academic assignment, or a reading assignment? Is it during math? Is it during social studies? Is it during when they're doing their playing? That's right. Self-talk is very important to be aware of. Exactly, Cindy. Thanks. So I think that, what we telling ourselves is really, really important. And when we can get our kids start listening in and what they're saying to themselves internally, as well as verbally outwardly, and just kind of be that detective as to what it is. And they may or may not, but if you can get them, if they're older, if they can just jot those things down in their secret little journal, nobody has to see them, you don't have to see them, but we'll talk about on Thursday what we can do with those thoughts, because we don't want this negative thought with an emotion attached to it and turning into a belief, because that becomes a false belief and false identity of who you are, or a false identity of who your kids are. So that's what runs in the background in our brains. 80-90% of the time we make decisions from those beliefs that we create. So we're going to talk about how we can rewire those ideas and those thoughts on Thursday. Okay? So thank you so much for coming to watch the video. Watch it live. And if you're watching on replay, just put hashtag replay in there, and I would love for you to write that as well. And any thoughts that you have, any comments that you have about what our topic that we are talking about, if you're noticing this in your home, if you're noticing this within yourself as well. So I would love for you to just jot down some, if you don't want to put it in the comment section, you can write it down, on paper or whatever. And so, okay, Elena Diddy. Okay, sure, I will listen to her. So, thanks for joining me, and I really appreciate that. And I'm going to drop a link in the comments. And if you want to take this deeper, if you want to learn a little bit more, I have a link in there on my Calendly for you to schedule a call, just like a 15-minute Zoom call, and we can go a little bit further with that. So I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye-bye.